How do you measure schizophrenia? Okay, here it is. WebMD. Brief Psychiatric Rating Scale. It's one of the most common tests that psychiatrists use when they want to check how severe someone's schizophrenia is. The test looks at 18 symptoms or behaviors such as hostility, disorientation, and hallucination. Okay, well, for the most part, I don't have uh, generally most of those symptoms, if any. Um, how do you assess schizophrenia? Although there are no laboratory tests, to specifically diagnose schizophrenia. The doctor might use various diagnostic tests such as MRI, CT scans, or blood tests to rule out physical illness as the cause of your symptoms. Okay, well, I've had physical illness for sure. Uh, does schizophrenia know? Does a schizophrenic know he is schizophrenic? Early warning signs of schizophrenia. One is that people with the disorder often don't realize they're ill, so they're unlikely to go to a doctor for help. Another issue is that many of the changes leading up to schizophrenia, called the prodrome, can mirror other normal life changes. Okay, well, here's the thing about that. A lot of times doctors are confused by behavior, for one. They're always calling you schizophrenic if you have bad behavior. The thing with that is that the world is also full of like conspiracies and a lot of problems and war and evil and people that lie and religion and money. The whole government money system is difficult. I mean, everything in the world is very difficult. Uh, it's not easy to survive in America or any other country. Uh, Everybody thinks that it's just so easy, and doctors play it off like everything is just hunky dory piece of cake and that they are perfect and that the world is just heavenly. Well, that's not close to the truth whatsoever. And that's pretty much it. People become delusional. People who become delusional, it does not necessarily mean that they are schizophrenic, depending on the delusions and how long they last and what they're delusional about. I mean, we could say that everyone who believes in God is delusional. We could say that everyone who believes that, anything crazy, strange, anyone who hallucinates that this world is anything but atomic in nature and, pretty well humanoid, uh, is pretty well possibly having a delusion or a hallucination. But, like, the real truth of schizophrenia is that really it's not very significant. I don't think that it's even a sound science. It pertains to potentially being a science, but the real truth of the matter is it's confusing. It's very confusing, and there's really not enough evidence to show that schizophrenia is, how do I say it, always a certainty. And just because someone has strange behavior, delusions, or hallucinations doesn't mean that their brain is either permanently defective or that they're always going to be that way, or that they're always going to be schizophrenic. Or they may go through something in life where they have a moment of a breakdown, or they may do this often. People in society often go through life problems and breakdowns and poverty and other health conditions that triggers a lot of problems in their mind. And schizophrenia it's not really a sound science, but it has some aspect to mental health. But I wouldn't go around telling everybody that a schizophrenic is a criminal, or that they're not valuable, or that their condition is permanent. I wouldn't go forcing medications on them just because they had bad behavior. A lot of times medications are just very problematic. Medications, I tried all sorts of medications for a condition that I don't even have, called schizophrenia. They basically lie to you and tell you that this disease is absolute. They have all kinds of stuff, and then when you start asking about evidence, they really can't show you any evidence. They only base it on your behavior, and that's just critically, just that's critical to the facts. And we don't accept lies as a basis for truth. Okay, we can't do that. So I mean, and here's what it says about the DSM-5. Schizophrenia criterion, a list the 5 key symptoms of psychotic disorders: delusions, hallucination, disorganized speech, disorganized or catatonic behavior, and negative symptoms. Okay, well, that's the basis. That's the positive right there. But you know what? They can be interrelated to other causes, and it gets specific on what a delusion or a hallucination is. Many times people think a delusion is like something that doesn't really have to be a delusion, like conspiracies. I've learned that conspiracies a lot of conspiracies in the world are turning out to be true. Although I'm not that magical, spiritual, strange entity kind of person. However, I believe there are some energies on the earth that are possibly causing these delusions and hallucinations and feelings. Well, that's just one part of it. But, your mind can go through moments where you don't feel right at all. People sometimes just don't feel right. And, the delusions pertain to often being a part of someone's conspiracies. So if you're talking about conspiracies, they want to start saying you're schizophrenic. But, that isn't the truth. I mean, doctors so often misuse these criterion in the wrong way and call you out to have a disorder that could be who knows what, and put you on medicine that could cause cancer, like Invega or all these benzene drugs, and it just doesn't add up. This science is horrible. Psychiatry is a horrible science. It's one of the worst sciences ever. Okay? I don't believe you should ever force medication on anyone unless they're extremely psychotic to the point where they have weapons and they're actually trying to like hurt people. That might be a case, but really not even then. I mean, really, they just need to be closed off into a room and arrested if they're trying to hurt other people. But, there's a lot of people trying to push people over the edge this day and age. There's a lot of bigotry and racism and bad politics and lies and religion, you name it. I've already said this. But like this world's hard to live in, so schizophrenia is not necessarily the absolute because our world is so difficult. I wouldn't call it schizophrenia. I just call it PST, post-traumatic stress disorder or something. Schizophrenia isn't really what's happening in my life, and I had other symptoms. I had a spinal disorder and severe skin acne vulgaris. I had a lot of pain in my legs and my feet and my back when I was young. I had some other problems, behavioral problems. I was just a young person when I started getting treatment. I was only 20 years old. So like this whole system is bogus now that I'm 37 and I've learned everything about it. I would not trust the DSM-5. It's not absolute, and what makes it even worse is that people don't know how to use it, and it's really specific, and it pertains to a lot of things. You don't call people out who's got hunches or ideas crazy just because they have conspiracies in their mind. But there's a lot of things going on. So this pretty well sums up a video for my lawsuit that I'm going to take to court. I believe you do not force medication on people, especially if they're complaining about it or having symptoms that are even visible and provable. I have several symptoms from my medications. I've tried several medications. A lot of them I don't like. Some of them I do. It's just crazy. This doesn't really work out too well for me. But I'm kind of sensitive to a lot of medications, and I don't think they're right to begin with. So I'm going to use this in court in Batesville, Indiana, to get off of a medication and potentially sue for malpractice against a place called Cmhc in Batesville, Indiana. And even whoever so-called orders any kind of force that doesn't really have any evidence to prove that it's necessary. Just because someone has bad behavior does not mean they need a medication. But anyway, this is the fact. This is as much as I can find. I've got evidence of a doctor talking about how they don't have facts. So, I mean, this goes along with a set of videos that will pretty well produce the true facts. So, thanks for watching.